Alright, while the guys are working there, you can maybe see how some of the plants, or rather half the plants on the right hand side, are doing way better than the half the plants on the left hand side. And that's only due to sunlight. So these plants here on the left hand side are getting way less sunlight as the plants on the right hand side. So this is why we've randomized the whole thing and why we have 8 different replicates for each different treatment. So here we are now, this is the third video, Compost tea versus EM versus Biochar. We have a guest, a very good old friend of mine, Saskia, who's also a horticulturist. You've studied this as well. How long are you going to be staying for? You're going to help us with the trial?
For about 2.5 months.
So we're going to have Saskia here, 2.5 months, Chandra's sister. I'm just so delighted that she's here as well. Now we're going to do something on plant vigor. So today we'll be looking actually on how we're going to measure each plant individually to see the actual plant vigor, and we're going to do that every 2 weeks, isn't it? So
2 weeks.
So do you want to, we'll get to that now right away. We'll have a look on how we're actually going to do the measurements.
So now we're looking at our plant vigor, and we've selected several measures of determining that. So the first one we're going to look at is stem thickness, and we're measuring it always at the same point. For us, we decided on 2 centimeters, which is about here. And we're just going to go around the little piece of string and then measure the circumference like that.
The next thing we are going to do is measure the height of the plant, and we're going to do that, and we're measuring from the soil level until the start of the apical bud. After that, we are measuring the diameter of the plant, and we are going to measure from the tip of the largest leaf, the leaf that sticks out the most, and the other opposite leaf that is furthest apart from it. So we're measuring the diameter like this.
So in addition to that, we're also counting our leaves. So in this case it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's also a tiny emerging leaf here. We're not counting that because it gets too nitty-gritty at that. So then we also look at how many diseased or damaged leaves do we have. So in this case we have 1 diseased leaf here, that one, and then we would have 4 damaged leaves because they all have a bit of feeding damage. And then to see how many leaves the plant had in total, we look at the leaf scars that are along the stem. So that gives us a good measure of the developmental stage of the plant.
Next we are going to measure the length and the width of the third youngest leaf, and we are going to ignore the little bud at the top and start counting with this one. So it's 1, 2, 3, and it kind of goes down like a spiral staircase. So that's how you know that it's the third youngest leaf, that it's lower down than this one. So we are going to measure from the tip until the start of the petiole, the little stem here. And then we are going to measure the width where it looks the widest.
So we were discussing if it wouldn't be better to count all, like measure all the leaves, right? And we decided against it.
Yes, it would be too time consuming to keep measuring all the leaves of all the plants every 2 weeks. So we decided to take always the third leaf to have some type of consistency in our measurement.
Yeah, and basically right now, even with those small plants, it would still probably take us 2 days to do all the measurements. And if we say this plant is going to grow that tall and probably going to have 60 leaves each, it's just going to be madness, and it'll take us all week just to measure the leaf size.
We need a lot of helpers.
And they will all change as well. By the time we got around to the last one, the first ones would have been... Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so another little side thing that we were interested in is if biochar reduces germination of seeds, because a previous project showed a difference in weed seed germination, so we're just going to look at that. So what we're doing is we're counting the different weeds and all the different plots and the types of them. We're just taking an awful lot of time, so we're only going to do it once and then see if there's a difference between biochar and non-biochar applications.
Okay, so looking at plant vigor is only one of the many tests one can do. So the different tests we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the soil. One test is going to be just a very simple one, which is the jam jar test, so we can tell the, you know, the composition, so sand, silt, clay. The another one we're going to do is just for the major nutrients, so nutrient test. We're going to be doing a water infiltration speed test. We already actually did that 2 days ago. It was a lot of work, and I'll show you now in a minute how to do that as well, because it's just interesting as well. Now the one that I'm most excited about is the test where Elaine Hingham's test, where we look at the actual microbes in the soil. We look at a plate, so the view that you would see in the microscope, and then we would move it around. So we count microbes in there, we count fungal hyphen in there, we'll count protozoa in there, and then we also can zoom out and see if there's any nematodes as well. And what you normally would do is you'd go through about 20 different spots, and then you can put all that data together, and then you can compare it to your other treatment as well. So we're going to be doing that as well. So that's pretty much the plan for now. We are probably looking at maybe changing. I said earlier in the video, you can notice to this side there's a lot of sun and not so much sun here, and there's a bit of a trouble because some of the treatments have more in the sun than they would in the shade. There was these two big huge branches, and in the meantime we've actually cut them down because we're thinking actually now to collect the last bit of data, take out those eggplants and start with some sunflowers instead. So we're going to put about 3 sunflowers in each one, and then we should be pretty good. Okay, I just take this call. We'll skip now. After I've done this, we'll skip to actually doing how to do this test as well. Hey my love. Hey, I'm just videoing at the moment. Just making a video. Sorry about that. My wife called and I really did not want to film that all again. So I basically, I'm just rolling with it. So come with me, let's set this test up properly. Alright. Okay, first thing you want to do is you want to find a piece of level ground. Now this is not perfectly level, but as an example it should do. And then you want to pinch off any weeds that are in the way without pulling them out, because you don't want to disturb the soil. Okay, now you want to set up your tubing. It can be about 12 centimeters high, 15, 10. And what you want to do is you want to measure exactly, you want to put in 2 lines. I don't know if you can see that there. 2 lines in there exactly that are roughly about 100 or 200 milliliters. It doesn't really matter, but it has to be just 2 lines far enough apart. And then what you do, you have them facing towards you so you can actually see what you're doing. And then you press the pipe into the ground, and then what you would do is you make sure that it goes in there at least maybe a centimeter and a half or 2 centimeters, and then you would just set it up exactly the same with the next one you would be doing. So let me just press that in a bit more, and my marker is 1.5 centimeters from the bottom line to the top of the soil. So when I have that done, now I haven't disturbed any of the soil, I need to press around the actual thing a little bit so that the water doesn't come out and ruin my test. So I have it like that. Then all I gotta do is stick this fella in here and have one end lower down so it's easy enough to pull it out, and the lines are facing me. Now I need to put enough water in there that it's above the actual 2 lines. So I have that now set up. Like that. And it's always the same quantity of water. So in my case it would be 500 milliliters. Now I didn't measure out 500 milliliters, but it has to be exactly the same because it's to do with the actual weight of water as well. By the time it gets to the bottom line, it goes a lot slower. Okay, next we're gonna get our stopwatch, and then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna gently pull it out. And the reason the plastic sheet is in there because I don't want to splash the soil too much. So as I'm pulling this out, like if I were just to pour water in there, it might hurt it. Now when it gets to the top of the line, and it gets really fast there. It's getting there really fast, and hang on, it's going down really quickly. Now when it gets to the bottom of the line, I'm going to press the stopwatch again. Yeah. So it was actually 200 milliliters went into the soil at 11.80 seconds. Now that's the first one I'll do. Just got a text message there. That's the first one I'm going to do, and it's always important to do 2. So again, just quickly show you as well how that's done. And almost always the second reading is always going to be better. Reset. Okay. And I don't know, you can't see it here, but you need to always pick the same point on the bead that hits your line, so that you always have it exactly the same way. So if you're doing more than one, like more than one plots to compare to each other, that is exactly the same. And there we go. This time it's 16.24. Now the faster it goes down, the second reading is the one that's important generally. Now, and the third one is even better. Now the faster it goes down, the better there is, the better your soil structure is. Now, if you have sandy soil, it's going to go a lot down a lot faster than if you have clay soil. I mean, that goes without saying. But if your soil structure and your life in the soil is really intact and really happy, lots of fungal roots and fungal hyphae in there, lots of roots, lots of bacteria, lots of air spaces, then of course the water is going to absorb much faster, and then you know you have a very healthy life in your soil by this very, very simple test. There we go.